get started, if you want to, you can just move over here closer to Olga. You don't have to stay in your seats. If you do not want to be seen on film, then you stay over here. The camera's over here. Over here. Are we going to be on film? You won't.
Yeah.
Good evening, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I wanted to share a warm welcome with Olga Kornyushyna, we are so blessed to have her here for the event. And she'll be doing 2 Q&As during this event, one tonight. I just want to give a short little background. Olga has written a book, a commentary on the 37 Bodhisattva practices. She calls it a little booklet. I actually haven't ever seen it physically, but she calls it a small little offering. But the latest information from her publisher, drum roll, is that 100,504 books of that book have been sold in Ukraine in all formats. Amazing. And she also has been in the past for a long time leading online groups on the commentary of the 37 Bodhisattva practices. And we're going to leave her to tell her story of this, which is very interesting. She's been of great benefit to Ukraine in the war. And she also is part of a group that teaches a breathing method. And since 2022, they have been training in this breathing method over 12,000 people. So lots of benefit. Garchen Rinpoche has brought her here with us now. So I'll let her give her introduction, and then I'll be passing the microphone around, or someone will be passing the microphone around. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand.
Thank you so much for a kind introduction. And I propose that we read the Refuge and the Four Immeasurables before we start, just to set the motivation in the right way. And it's the yellow book, page 4 and 5. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all mothers, sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mothers, sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. So thank you very much for coming. I know it's late and we had a full day of meditation, so I appreciate that you decided to come. And before we start, I did one Q&A here exactly 1 year ago, and it was Anila's birthday, so I remember. Happy birthday. Could you please tell me if anyone was here a year ago? Ah, nice, great. So I will repeat myself a little bit because I told the story. So first of all, a few facts that we should acknowledge. So I haven't done extensive retreat. I haven't done 3-year retreat. I did a lot of small retreats. And I don't speak Tibetan because people ask me that. So I just wanted to tell you right away. This year, it's been exactly 20 years since I became a student of Garchen Rinpoche. I came here, first time I came here, it was in 2004. And at that time, Rinpoche was in Tibet. So I met him the next year, and it was in the summer of 2005. So I am very happy that 20 years later, I am able to come here. And I think this is auspicious, because in 2005, I didn't think anything about what would happen 20 years from then. So when I first met Garchen Rinpoche for the formal interview in 2005, he surprised me by telling me that I should tell people in Ukraine about 37 Bodhisattva practices and explain to them the 37 Bodhisattva practices. And at that time, I didn't know anything about the 37 Bodhisattva practices, and I don't think I had any, apparent and immediate connection with the text. Rinpoche told a story today that he had a, great connection with the author and with the cave, and it's a very nice story, but I didn't have it. I was surprised. I didn't know what the text was about. I just read it a few times as part of the opening prayers here. So I started studying the text, and I pretty much spent, 15 years studying the text for myself. And since Rinpoche required that I explain it to people, I tried to do that, and of course it didn't work. Nobody wanted to listen to me, which is not surprising, why should they? And when Rinpoche first came to Kiev in 2007, I complained to him and I said, well, you told me to teach people, and how can I teach if I'm not a teacher and I don't know the text well? And no one wants to study the text. People are not interested and they're not going to listen to me. And so please, Rinpoche, just do it yourself, because you're a great teacher and people will listen to you. And so Rinpoche told me, he said, he was not happy. And he said, no one wants to listen to you because you didn't have any bodhicitta. if you had any bodhicitta, people would listen to you. You would not have any problems. So just do it. But I was after him, and he told people that that's what he wanted, that they learned the 37 practices. And so I tried many things. I translated Rinpoche's commentary. So I was doing this and that, and I thought it was okay. And people became interested, and we tried to have group discussions. So we moved forward with that, and it became better. And then Rinpoche said, well, it's great, very good. Just see what else you can do. Just, see what you can do. Maybe you can do something else. And so that was very clever, because I kept asking myself, can I do anything else? And so there always was something else to do. And then I don't remember when, but first I started a Facebook page for 37 Bodhisattva practices, and people told me it was a crazy idea, that everyone will just give trouble and make nasty comments, and it would be terrible. And I said, well, if it's terrible, I will just delete the page. But actually nothing like that ever happened. And I think this is just through the blessing of Garchen Rinpoche, because we all know social media, and so this was very surprising development. And then a few thousand people signed up, and we had like discussions in the comments, and it was actually very nice. And then I decided that I should probably write a book. And it didn't come together in my mind immediately, so I didn't know how to approach it. And I asked Rinpoche for advice, and he gave me a lot of very good advice, for the book. And he told me what he would like me to mention in the book. And but then the rest he just left up to me, and he said, well, if you don't understand something, you just meditate and you will understand everything. So that was funny, because I didn't believe him. And but then actually it worked. So so the lesson from this is we should always believe what our guru tells us, even if it's not apparent. So this is a story, and this is what happened. And every time I reach a good number, with the publisher, I offer it to Rinpoche. And so I was very pleased about 100,000 number, because it reminds me of Nyondro, when we do these accumulations. So here I will offer it to Rinpoche again. And with that, we should probably proceed to questions and answers. And please ask me questions regarding the practice that we do, or whatever Rinpoche said yesterday and today, if you have questions, and of course the 37 practices. And I will do my best to answer. If I don't know something, I will honestly admit to it, and then I will find out and tell you later. But hopefully I will answer all of your questions, so please.
Thank you, Olga. I just have a couple of practical visualization questions for the practice. On page 6, I was wondering what the crystal mala held in the, I think it's the lower right hand for Chenrezig, and I was wondering what the symbolism for the crystal mala was.
Oh, I tell you the truth, I'm not very great with symbolism, so I don't know.
Okay.
I used to know, but I forgot.
Okay.
So we can just look it up, I guess, and see later. Actually, you can, I'm sure it's somewhere on the internet. So we can look it up and see if it's true, because sometimes, I'm sure once I hear it, I will remember.
And then again, no problem if it's just light, but I was wondering if there was a certain color of light radiated, or if it was rainbow colored, or the 5 colors.
Well, when we visualize the mantra, you mean?
Well, there's the mantra garland, I think, that is radiating the
Right.
light, and then the lights transform the outer universe into a boundless palace, and that was mostly where I was curious.
Right.
That part.
Well, usually, the activity, this is part of the activities that we do when we radiate light. And this is a very concise sadhana.
Yeah.
Usually, if you remember, in the sadhanas, there are several stages where we radiate light. It goes as offering to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and when we invite the wisdom beings, we also radiate light. And then, of course, the mantra garland radiates light. And once Rinpoche gave us a very good advice, and it was for a different practice. And he said that, doesn't matter if you're able to visualize it or not, it's happening. Because this is the nature of the seed syllable and the mantra garland. So please don't think that if, I forgot or it's too much, then you're not doing the activity. The mantra garland radiates light regardless. So this is happening. This is just like when Rinpoche said that we should have a certainty that our mind has a Buddha nature and it's just temporarily obscured. I think the same goes for the mantra garland, that, it radiates light. We just temporarily forget about it or cannot see it, but it's there. And regarding the color of the light, I was not given a specific instruction for the color, so it could be any color. It could be all 5 wisdom colors combined. It could be the white color of Chenrezig. So just know that the color is there. I think this is the most, the color, the light, that the light is there.
Yes, thank you so much.
Actually, by the way, if anyone has any additions, please join me. And if you can add something to my answers, that would be great, because Rinpoche really encourages the discussions. He always says that, not older sounds bad. Senior students should have discussions and share knowledge, but I'm not the only one who knows something here. I'm sure a lot of people have even more knowledge.
Hi, Olga. Thank you. My question actually is also concerning the visualization and the mantra recitation. I must admit my visualization is not always perfect, and it's sometimes here and there, and sometimes I get lost in like regular thoughts and catch myself there. And when I do, where should I get back to visualization? Do I start again from emptiness and visualize myself as the deity from scratch, or do I continue with the seed syllable and the garland, or do you have any suggestions there?
Yes, actually, I do. So I think it's completely okay to go in and out. especially if it's not your regular practice, the Chenrezig practice. So please don't be discouraged by it. I think it's okay. You know, this is just how our minds are. Sometimes they wander. And there are several things that I tried myself. Sometimes if I completely lose the visualization and I want to come back to it, I just look it up in the sadhana, you know, I just read it. And it helps. But you can always come back to the seed syllable Hri. I'm not sure. I know that in the bookstore, I definitely saw Hung, but I think they have Hri also, only it's a red color, but it doesn't matter. You know, it's very great now that we have these 3D printers. Oh, cool. Because if you're like me, like I am not very good in 3D visualizations. It's very hard for me. So I used to cut it out from the piece of paper and I would place it like this to help. And now, you know, we have all these animations that you can look up. Everything is rotating and, you know, it's really helpful. And then also you can just get this syllable from the bookstore or you can cut it out from the piece of paper. And, you know, it stands. So in 3D, I don't know if you can see me. So here is Chenrezig, you know, in the heart center, and syllable Hri stands like this. And so then you can build your mantra garland and it rotates. But the seed syllable is the most important. And I was also told that if it's hard for you to visualize the Tibetan letters, you can visualize the letters in your native alphabet. And it will be just the same benefit. So just do what's possible. And, you know, it's just like the shamatha meditation. When the mind wanders, you just gently bring it back and don't judge yourself and don't get too tense about it. Just, you know, be gentle and just bring it back. And I think the most important is to kind of relax into it. I know, you know, when people tell you relax, it's a bad advice, but it really works. So hopefully I answered your question. Yes, please.
Hello, and thank you for the conversation tonight. In the more common version of the Chenrezig sadhana, it's just straight Om Mani Padme Hum. In this sadhana, obviously, we're adding the Hri at the end. And so I'm wondering if you can speak to why the Hri is added at the end and the significance of it, the meaning of it, and how to work with that. Thank you.
Well, the significance of it is this is the seed syllable. So the syllable from which everything manifests. So the Hri is the nature of Chenrezig, and basically Hri is the nature of our minds. And if you noticed, you know, here Rinpoche has this image next to his throne. And I don't know if you know the history of this image. This is 10,000 arm, 11 heads Chenrezig, and it's a different sadhana. But you know, this is the mantra of this Chenrezig, this form of Chenrezig. It's a 7-syllable mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. And when I first came here for Chenrezig Drubchen, that was in 2005, we did the big sadhana of that Chenrezig, and that had that mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum Hri. So I think I'm not 100% sure, but to me, it seems that we are getting 2 in 1 here. You know, we have a concise sadhana of four-armed Chenrezig, but we get the benefit of the mantra of the very powerful form of Chenrezig that we can see there. And actually, this image, I think I was here when this image first appeared. It's an interesting story. A student of Garchen Rinpoche drew this image and posted outside the temple on the door. And I remember coming to the door and seeing this little image. And then Garchen Rinpoche told us that actually he saw in his mind the Chenrezig manifested like this, and the student drew it independently. So it's a very unique image. And, I cannot believe now that I was here when that image was first posted at the door, but yeah, this really happened. So I saw it, and it was 20 years ago. So I think, all the practices that we do here at the Institute, they have these special blessings. And these special blessings, they come from Garchen Rinpoche. And of course the Chenrezig, but the guru comes first, and the yidam manifests from the guru. At least that's what I was taught. So this is very special. Thank you for these questions. Otherwise, I would not remember about this story. Thank you.
Just a general question regarding the sadhana. Could you give advice regarding guru devotion and pure perception? If you don't mind to share more stories about your relation with Garchen Rinpoche, how does your devotion to the guru evolve during the past 10, 20 years? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, regarding the sadhana, just as I said, how I approach the yidam practice. Actually, you can approach everything as guru yoga. Even if you don't do the formal nyondra of guru yoga, you can still practice guru yoga. And Chenrezig practice also can be a practice of guru yoga, because the guru manifests as Chenrezig. And the syllable Hri is the nature of the mind of the guru. So you can approach it like this, and first you can approach it on the conceptual level. There is nothing wrong with conceptual level. We have to start somewhere. And I think it can happen both ways. You can think about it, have a concept that the syllable Hri is the nature of the mind of the guru, and the guru manifests himself as Chenrezig. And then also you can have the experience of it. And this experience can arise spontaneously during the mantra recitation, for example. And if it arises spontaneously, just rest and just, let the recitation go and just rest in this experience. And then when it ends, you just go back to the mantra recitation and the visualization. And it can be very, very powerful. And especially, now that we have Rinpoche with us, at least for part of the practice, and even if he's not here, he's always here. So this experience can just arise. And I'm sure there are many people here who had this experience, at least briefly. So we can develop, this experience, this feeling, and then we can build on it. And, I don't want to use any big words, but this can be, this can develop into a practice of Mahamudra. And this is just the power of Guru Yoga and the power of devotion to the Guru. And about my stories, I don't know. So when I was here, I'm still coming back to these 20 years ago. I still remember, I first met Rinpoche in Tucson, and it was a big teaching, and I was just introduced to him, but it was just a big event, and I remember it was too much for me. I had to lay down and sleep during the event. I was just, I think the energy of Rinpoche was too much for me at that time. And then I came back here in a month, and I remember I was passing the dining hall, and Rinpoche was going from the temple. And he was not alone, but I don't remember who was with him. And then he just stood there, and he looked at me, and I looked at him. And, I think this spontaneous feeling that he was talking about when he was in the cave, near the cave, this is what I experienced, because I still remember that exact moment. And it was very special. So yeah, and but basically, I moved back to Ukraine in September of 2005, and I started, working with the center and establishing the center, and I just always did a lot of work for Rinpoche, and he always had a lot of tasks. The 37 practices was just one task. So I did a lot of work, but I didn't have a lot of, personal interviews. And when I think about it, it didn't matter that I didn't have a lot of personal interviews, because, you read all these stories about teacher-student relationship, and it can have very many forms. And, just one advice used to be enough back in the days. The guru tells you to do something, and you do it, and then once you've done it, you come back and you ask for more. Nowadays, it's easier to get information, and it's different, but, I suggest, doesn't matter who your guru is, if it's Garchen Rinpoche or somebody else, just try it. So he or she tells you to do something, and you do it. And then when you're done, or, with me, like, I couldn't do it. He told me with the 37 practices, and I couldn't do it. It didn't work. So I went to him, and I was very upset, and I said, well, you told me to do it, and I can't do it. This is okay, too. And see what happens, And doesn't matter what it is. If it's something big or small, I really don't believe that there can be anything small in what the guru tells you to do. It always makes sense. Maybe later, maybe not at the moment, but it always makes sense. So I think this is enough.
Thank you, Olga. I have a question. Before that, I just real quickly to share with people, if you get one of those 3D plastic seed syllables, the hung or the ri, and put it on your shrine or your altar, and then in a dark room, shine a light through it, you get the rainbow image of it on your wall. It's a great way to practice. My question is about the history of Chenrezig and the Drikung lineage, and because I read somewhere that Gumpojik Tin Sumgun recommended or gave Chenrezig as a yiram to most of his students or something like this, and it's inspiring to know, how we arrived to this place. And if you would just talk about that a little bit, thanks.
Oh, actually, well, first of all, thank you for sharing about the 3D thing. It's a really cool advice. So regarding the history, when we get empowerment, there's usually a history of the empowerment. And I actually haven't heard that particular story that you told about Jigten Sungun giving Chenrezig as a principal deity. But I can tell you, this significance, and this is going to be my opinion first, and then we'll try to separate my opinion from the fact. So with Garchen Rinpoche, first of all, to me, Chenrezig is connected to the 37 Bodhisattva practices because we know the text, we know that it opens with Chenrezig, and basically, this text is directly related to Chenrezig. Then, I cannot speak for the whole Drikun Kagyu lineage, but I can speak about this place. I don't remember exactly in what year. Do you familiar with the great yogi Drubwang Rinpoche? He passed away, yes, we have his picture here. He passed away a long time ago. And I think he passed away at the end of 2007. And again, I never met him when he was alive, but I was in Kathmandu for his cremation. And it was also a coincidence. I just happened to be there. And so I know that Drubwang Rinpoche came to this place, and he had a very special relationship with Garchen Rinpoche. And, Drubwang Rinpoche was a big promoter of Chenrezig practice and mantra. And I know a story about him that he was, I think, in Latvia, and people requested a very high teachings from him, and he agreed. And then he was sitting on the throne, and they were waiting for the teachings, and he said, well, I told you I'm going to give some high teachings, but I think you should be concerned more not to be reborn in hell. So we will just recite Om Mani Padme Hum, and they recited Om Mani Padme Hum. And he had these special Mani Drubchos. And so when he was here, I think, if I'm not mistaken, but I think this is what happened, that he told Garchen Rinpoche that it would be very auspicious for the Institute to have several Drubchos. And I know for sure that he named 3, and it was Chenrezig Drubchen, Buddha Amitabha Drubchen, and Guru Rinpoche. And I remember when I was coming here a long time ago, there were these Drubchens, and time change and formats change, but I know that there are accumulations of the mantras, and the Amitabha grew up into the millions recitations, and so, but I think, it was really Drubwang Rinpoche who told Garchen Rinpoche that it would be very good to have Chenrezig accumulation. So this is what I know, and I'm sorry, I don't know about the whole lineage, but I think I know what happened here.
Thank you, Olga. So my question's on Tonglen, and I've heard a lot of different instructions on what to do with the suffering when you take it in. And I was curious from what you've gotten from Garchen Rinpoche over the years in terms of the actual process, how he teaches specifically with the taking and sending, and then also in your experience, the actual mechanics, what you found most helpful in your practice around it.
Well, Garchen Rinpoche gives a very unique teaching that he received from Khenpo Munsel in his time in the prison camp. And he speaks about I guess we can call it a fact that there is just one mind and one suffering. Even so, it appears that, we all are separate and we have many minds and we experience different sufferings. But as far as I understood, Khenpo Munsel told him that you should approach it differently. The ground is the same, the mind is the same, and the suffering ultimately is the same for everyone. And so if you do it with this view, then you can really transform the suffering for all beings. And the mechanics, there's different instructions. You can even do Tonglen for yourself, and you can transform your own suffering. You can breathe it in and transform it. If you practice a Yidam date, if you practice Chenrezig, you can visualize the seed syllable, you can breathe into the seed syllable and ask your guru, ask Chenrezig to help you transform it. And since the mind is the same, and the suffering is the same, even if you work with your own suffering, it will bring benefit to everyone. And this is the thing that I was working on for myself. We should gradually give up the idea that we're separate, and any chance we get, we should develop the experience of what Khenpo Munsel told Garchen Rinpoche. And as I said, we can start with conceptual level. It's just fine. And then, you start with the concept, but when you get the real feeling and the real experience, you just rest in it, just relax. Just let go for a bit. Enjoy. And so you can do it like this, and or you can work with the suffering of others. And I am not a great person with visualizations. Like, this is my weak point. I think maybe, I just don't have the karmic propensity for visualization. It's okay. If you're like me, you don't have to visualize. You just have to know that you are doing it. You just believe, or if you don't believe, maybe you have an experience or you feel. If it's working, sooner or later the experience will arise. And it's just like with the light and with the mantra, just know it's there. Just firmly believe that it's there. And if it's hard, you can always pray for your guru, and it always works, Sometimes if I cannot do something, I just visualize that Garchen Rinpoche is doing it. Actually, I have no problem visualizing Garchen Rinpoche. That's why he created his own guru yoga. A student asked him, and I don't remember who that was, but somebody said, Rinpoche, it's very hard for me to visualize, but I have no problem visualizing you. So he made this guru yoga when we visualize him with his meditation belt and the prayer wheel. So this always works. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, the one clarification. So with Garchen's instructions, with Khenpo Munsel's instructions to him, with Garchen Rinpoche's instruction, is there not a breathing in? Is it more just recognizing the ground, tawa is the same, the suffering is the same, and then almost like trekcha, Like you just rest in nature of mind and
Well,
let it
if
self-liberate?
you can do it, then great. But if you can't, breathing, because we always connect, the meditation is the unification of your body, speech. Speech is breathing, basically, and mind. So breathing is a great way to bring the energy and the mind together. And here, it would be great if you visualize it in your own body. You're breathing in, you transform it with your mind. So you see kind of where I'm going with it, So then you bring your body, speech, and mind together, and it becomes very powerful.
Thank you.
Olga, over here. Thank you so much. Back to your story about Garchen Rinpoche saying it's not working because you don't have bodhicitta. So what did you do next? How did you go about developing bodhicitta? What happened?
Well, I can tell you what happened. I was very upset that he told me that. I was mad. I come from the line of people who are emotional and we have hot tempers. So sometimes I get upset. But then, I was like, okay, well, it's never going to work because I have no idea when I'm going to have bodhicitta and what is bodhicitta and how you have it. Who knows? So I just gave up. Well, I didn't know. I just decided, okay, I will just continue doing what I'm doing and see what happens. And I didn't think much about developing bodhicitta because I really, it took me years to understand what it is. And I asked Rinpoche several times, how do you develop bodhicitta? And his first response was, meditate on karma, and if you understand karma, then you will understand bodhicitta. And I really didn't have a clue what he meant. But, this is the thing. If you don't understand, you just write it down so you don't forget, and then you come back to it. And, Rinpoche says sometimes very profound things, and you can really just use one advice for your whole life, and it will unpack. But ultimately, as I realized after years, it's all about diminishing your own self-grasping. And I know we hear about it a lot, but this is actually a real thing. Like the more you meditate, the more you develop awareness, the more you recognize when you grasp at thoughts, at concepts, at emotions, different objects. It's like when people first start to meditate, they come to you and they say, we never had so many thoughts, and then we started to meditate, and now we have so many thoughts. But we understand that they always had thoughts, they just were not aware. The same with grasping. Grasping is a real thing, and it can even manifest as a real sensation. And, I think I realize now why they always give you this instruction to rest and to relax into your true nature, or because, grasping is really exhausting. And the more you notice it, the more you become I become really exhausted by it. And sometimes I just truly wish to let go and just rest. And so, this is a good place, because when you rest, from self-grasping. You get more space. And what is this space? This is for everyone to discover. What is this space? And then, I was thinking about it because Rinpoche said, he gave us an instruction about during the first day when he spoke about Dzogchen, he said to let go of self-grasping. So I decided that maybe I can approach all the practices from the point of diminishing self-grasping. And I'm staying in the dorm 5, and they have nice printouts there. For example, 10 non-virtuous actions to avoid: killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, slander, or divisive talk, harsh words, meaningless talk, covetousness of others' possessions, ill will or wishing harm to others, holding views of nihilism or internalism. So when you think about it, if you practice the 10 non-virtues, your self-grasping gets stronger, because the 10 non-virtuous actions, they come from grasping. The more we grasp, the more propensity we have for non-virtuous actions. This is just how it works. When we engage in virtuous actions, and they have the virtuous actions listed there as well, and I will read them to you. And while I read, just analyze, what it does. So, okay. Protecting the lives of sentient beings, charity, morality, speaking the truth, reconciling those who oppose each other, speaking gently, reciting prayers to give up gossip and idle talk, rejoicing in others' good fortune and quality, loving kindness, believing in Dharma and karma. So all of these, if you practice them, they diminish your self-grasping. Of course, first we start, practicing virtue, and we think that we're great people, really practicing virtue. So it might seem that our self-grasping even increases, but this is just like with the thoughts, We didn't notice it before, we might still not noticing it, but if we really engage wholeheartedly with good motivation in any of the virtuous actions, the result 100% will be the diminishing of self-grasping. And when self-grasping diminishes, you get more space and you get more, warm feelings, loving feelings. Maybe, you don't get loving kindness and compassion immediately, but maybe you just start respecting others more. You have, you just gradually become a nicer person. And it's a very good place to start. I don't know if you heard Garchen Rinpoche saying it. He said several times, I loved it. He said, basically, the Dharma teaches you to be a nice, well-behaved person. And when I first heard it, I thought, well, this is great. No one tells you this. Because, people, they like stories about crazy yogis doing crazy stuff. And, we all should be like crazy yogis, but maybe not, not immediately. Maybe we should be just nicer people, nicer to each other, nicer to other beings, and this way, your bodhicitta will increase. So I actually have not, because he told me that when I have bodhicitta, everyone is going to listen to me, and the books were, reaching these numbers. So it seems like probably something to do with bodhicitta, but I'm not sure it's mine. Maybe Rinpoche's bodhicitta working, but it doesn't matter. So just, I think with bodhicitta, you can start in any place, just practice whatever virtue you have a karmic propensity to practice, but just do it with motivation to develop your bodhicitta and believe that it's working. Because I'm coming back to the first question, even if you don't feel it's working, even if you can't visualize it, this is just the nature of the mind and how it manifests, so it's working. So just know that it's working, and sooner or later, it will just happen. And, Rinpoche told me, he said, well, because I reported that finally I'm getting some results, and I seem to get good response from people. And I said, well, Rinpoche, but I'm not doing anything anymore. Like I used to do something, and now I'm not doing anything. And he said, well, this is how bodhicitta works. You're not doing anything, but it's happening. So I don't know. We have to believe him, because I have no idea.
Hey, Olga, would you like to share with us how you personal, as a practitioner, you are living in a country that knows so much suffering? You personally, I know you had to go away from your home with your cats and dogs and all these traveling things. If you like to share with us what helps you to deal and to live with fear, literally, because you never know when the disaster comes to your house, and how you work with the feeling of hate and anger towards the one that seemingly bring this suffering upon your country. Thank you.
Thank you, Anila. So with the fear, well, I received several very good advice from Garchen Rinpoche, as usual. Well, the war started in 2014. So it was not the full scale, but it started then. And Garchen Rinpoche actually came. He was the only High Lama who came to Kiev in 2014 because he said that he had a bodhisattva vow and he promised, so he came. And I told him that, it's too much, it's too much for me. And I felt that I'm going crazy, like I'm losing my mind. It's just too much happening. And I came to him and I said, Rinpoche, I know that you have, special ability. Can you please look at me and tell me if I'm going crazy? And he did, he was very serious. He looked at me. And then he said, if I were you, I would not be that concerned with the state of my mind. And that was his reply. So I don't know if I was going crazy or not, but that was actually very good advice. Because, as I realized later, when you're too concerned with the state of your mind, you're grasping. And with the suffering, like, unfortunately, I have a lot of experience with suffering. Like, I probably have bad karma, and I have a lot of different sufferings used to have. And like, somehow I believe that if you suffer, then naturally, you suffer a lot, you overcome, and you become a better person. But this is not what was happening to me. Like, I realized that when I experience intense suffering, I'm not becoming a better person. I'm becoming the worse person. So I went to Rinpoche, and he said, yes, actually, this is true. when you suffer a lot, the tendency for self-grasping increases. And he told me this is what he observed when he was in prison, that, the propensity to grasp when you suffer. And I think this is like, it has to do with how our human bodies function. It has to do with the chemistry of our bodies. This is my opinion. So once he told me that, then it became better, because I realized that this is the nature of suffering. And this is why samsara is so bad, because, there is all this suffering in samsara that creates more self-grasping and more suffering, so it's like the endless cycle. So then, once you grasp at your own suffering, then gradually you realize that you are not letting yourself go. You are not letting yourself being happier, less miserable person. And this is it was very unpleasant realization for me. I didn't realize I was grasping at my own suffering. Like, it took me years to notice. Once I noticed, I started to let go. Well, I guess people go to therapy for that, but I didn't go to therapy. So I just practiced Buddhism. So the same with fear, when you experience, actually same with any emotions. Our bodies produce emotions. We know now that emotions, just the chemistry of the body. And we grasp, the more intense the emotion, the more intense we grasp. It doesn't matter if it's a negative emotion or a positive emotion. If we don't understand what's happening, we grasp. And with fear and the threat to life, then the instincts, they kick in, because, we're biological beings. And like any mammals, if our life is threatened, we have an instinct. We either freeze or run away, or we fight. We try to save ourselves. And this is the level of grasping that I find hard to deal with, because this is very fundamental. So Garchen Rinpoche told me to visualize myself as Tara. And I can tell you now, unfortunately, that when you're very scared, your mind is just going. Like, forget, don't count that you will maintain stability. Well, I hope no one experiences what I had to experience, but, you lose ability to concentrate. So you can, if you still can concentrate, then you visualize yourself as Tara or any other Yidam deity. If you can't visualize, you can just recite the mantra, or if you can't recite the mantra, you just say, Tara, Tara, Tara. This is what Rinpoche told me to do. He just said, you just say the name of Tara. And he's speaking from experience, because we know these stories that Tara saved him many times from certain deaths. And so that's what he told me to do. And I don't know, I'm still working with it. It's not easy, like, you get scared. This is just a physical reaction. So I guess, if we separate the physical reaction from the mind, then we can work here. So I'm still exploring. I will let you know. And then with hatred, I have to confess that in 2022, there was a period of time when I experienced very intense emotions. Like, I was angry. And I, had every right to be, but it's not helpful. Like, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't resolve my problem. And it's not something that I want to be, but this was happening as a practitioner of Vajrayana. We have methods how we can deal with it. If you get angry, you can visualize yourself as Yidam, you can visualize yourself, and you can visualize the flames that consume your anger. You can do the Vajra recitation and the flame, that consumes the negative emotion. But, sometimes you just need to give yourself time. Like, these are extreme things. These are things that happen, in samsara. And Garchen Rinpoche told us stories about himself. He had to walk a certain path, and he used to get angry. And then he overcame his anger. So, I didn't have the propensity to become angry. So, and it was a new thing for me. I would get upset, I would get emotional, I would, experience a burst of energy, and then it just lets go and it wouldn't stay. And then in 2022, it stayed. It didn't go away for some time. And then, actually, so I never told it publicly, but I think since you asked, I will. My friend, I have a close friend, and her son was killed in action. And so there was some very morbid circumstances surrounding it, and so they couldn't recover his body. And she asked me to do a practice to help. And it doesn't matter what practice it was, but I know that, if you do any practice, especially for the person who recently passed away, especially for the person that you have a strong connection and, the person is in the barda, you should absolutely never get angry. Because, the mind is one, the person is in a fragile state in the barda, and you are doing a practice for the person, you get angry, you will harm the mind of the person. So then, but I couldn't refuse, because she asked me. So I really made an aspiration that I will absolutely not get angry. I will just concentrate, and I will not concentrate on the circumstances. I'll just concentrate on helping my friend and helping her son. And I will just do it with the motivation of love. And because I really love these people. So I decided, okay, I'm just doing it, whatever happens. So I asked in my mind for Rinpoche's blessing, and I just did it for 3 days. And then then the situation was resolved, and I forgot about it. And then I don't remember, sometimes passed, and I checked my mind, like I usually check, like they say in the 37 Bodhisattva practices that, whatever activities you engage, you should check your mind. And so I checked, and the anger wasn't there. And I checked again, so it never came back. And, this is just how it works, I guess. So that practice actually destroyed my anger. I don't know what it did in any other terms, but it destroyed my own negative emotion. And I did it for the benefit of other person. And this is actually what happened. We always say we do everything for the benefit of oneself and others. And for example, when I started with the 37 practices, I thought I was doing something to benefit other people. But ultimately, I benefited myself. And the practice that I never understood for years, for the longest time, is the practice where it says about, realizing that the three spheres are not separate, the subject, the object, and the action. I could never understand what it meant. I understood conceptually, but not really. And then, I realized, and this goes to Khenpo Munsel advice, all these teachings, they're connected. Once you get it, you get the whole thing. Then I realized that there is no, this is just grasping. So I grasped at the idea of me doing something to others. And so when you grasp, then, it works on the relative level, but then it has to collapse. This grasping, sooner or later, it cannot handle all this good energy and accumulations and, virtuous actions. So sooner or later, this grasping is just going to collapse. And then, even if it collapses for, 5 minutes, then you get it. Then you get it. There is no me doing something, blah, blah, blah. So this is all the same. I don't know. It's not going to make any sense. So you have to investigate. I don't want to tell stories. I just really invite you to approach it as an experiment and try something like this and see how it works for you. Because, I don't know, it seems to me that in my stories, there are a lot of coincidences and something just happens and, maybe it's some past karma. I cannot see it. I have no idea. Maybe, it's the blessing. Well, for sure, it's Rinpoche's blessing. And basically, I really trust what he tells me. If he tells me something, even if I don't like it, I might protest. And I might even get mad, but I never give up. And I come back to it and I say, okay, I really don't like this advice. And I don't think Rinpoche understood me at all. It happened several times. I will not give you the specifics, but this is how I really felt. I'm being really honest with you. So if you experience something like this, you're not alone. But I never give up, and even if I'm mad and I think for several years, there was a period in my life when I really had very bad circumstances and I really thought that no one understood what I was going through and all this advice just was for somebody else and not me. But, you just have to persevere and just be stubborn. And sometimes, bad qualities, they're not so bad. So if you're a stubborn person like me, just use it for something good, Say, okay, I don't like it, but I'm still going to do it just because I'm a stubborn person. And if you're not stubborn and you have a nicer character, then just do it nicely and it's going to work out. Anyway, yeah, that's why, I understand that me sitting here is highly unconventional and I wouldn't sit myself here. I definitely don't think I should sit above Khenpo and Venerable Lamas. This is weird. But, you can't argue with Garchen Rinpoche. So it was not my idea. And I think logistically it makes sense because, if you sit here, then people have to listen to you, sort of. I don't know. But I definitely, I know myself. I know that I have, things that I'm still working on. And I have some good qualities and not so good qualities, and but this is just how we are. If we were perfect beings, we would not be sitting here. So we're all a work in progress, and I think it's fine, you know. I just learned that you just need to relax and give it space, you know, give yourself some space and give other people some space. And then just to finish with your question, so this is not a secret because I actually published this story in the American magazine. You can Google it and read it. So at the end of February of 2022, a soldier from Buryatia, and this is a Russian Buddhist republic, shot at me from the tank, like the machine, you know, the tank. And like I even know the name of this person because then, you know, the army was shooting back. He was trying to escape. He gave up his documents. They were just laying around and people from the village found. So I know the name. I know the age. I don't know what happened to this person. I am afraid nothing good happened to him. And, you know, it was a very weird experience. And like I should probably hate this person, you know, because he was really trying to kill me, my dog, my cat, and my neighbors, for sure. Like there is no question. The person was committing a very negative deed, whatever his circumstances were. Moreover, it was a Buddhist person. So, you know, there are many dimensions to this. And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say it, but I feel, at first I was very upset because I was like, oh man, I have a connection with such an evil person. I don't want to have a connection with him. I just want to forget about him. I don't want to ever think about him again. But as time passed, you know, I had to admit that, you know, we have a connection with this person. And, you know, he comes to my mind and I don't have angry thoughts. And sometimes when I do practices, he just comes to my mind. I just remember him. And, you know, I am not some advanced person flying on a cloud. So I definitely don't condone his actions, and I think he ultimately probably got the results of his actions immediately. At the same time, you know, I cannot feel hatred to this person. But this is just me. Like, if my neighbors who were present, if they hate him, I will not judge them. Because, you know, if you didn't experience it, you don't understand what's happening. So I cannot judge my neighbors if they do. If they don't, that's fine. And I don't like to admit it in the company of my fellow Ukrainians because they will say, well, you crazy person, you know, why, you know, this is wrong, you know, this is an invader. And I understand, you know, like I really think the person committed evil deeds. At the same time, this is just how it is. Like at this particular moment in time, I remember this person's name, and I really hope if he's in hell now that, you know, due to these aspiration prayers, he gets out of there and becomes a better person and benefits people and teach others not to kill and not to commit non-virtuous deeds. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. This is heavy subjects. I hope I didn't upset you. But, you know, this is how it works. You know, this is why we need to practice the 37 practices, because you think number 13 will never happen to you until it does. Well, when he was shooting at us, I remembered the 37 practices. Like I trained for years, and I trained, because you have to train for the bad stuff, just like we train for the moment of death. Like you have to train for when it hits you. This is when you really need to practice Dharma. So the way things are going in the world, I don't see it's getting any better. So sorry. This is such a nice place. I think like we're in Sukhavati here. But then, we go out in the world. I am coming back to Kiev on January 7th. I have no idea what's going to happen to me. So we really need to like practice and get prepared. So if, and I hope nothing bad ever happens to anyone, only good stuff, okay? Only perfect stuff. But if it happens, then you're prepared, and then you don't let Rinpoche down by being a bad person. One time he said, if something bad happens to me, please don't get angry. It was years ago, he said it. Because if you get angry, then you're reborn in hell, and then all of my disciples are reborn in hell, and how would it reflect on me as a teacher? So, we cannot let this happen. We have to purify this stuff and work on ourselves. And I confess to you that I was very angry in 2022. And sometimes I don't wish anything good to certain people. And but I recognize it and I work on myself, Please.
So this soldier was a great treasure, like from the 37 practices for you. A harm doer from the 37 practice, because in some ways, from what you said, it seems like he was a great treasure for you.
Yeah, well, I don't wish any one of you to have such a great treasure. I wish you to have other treasures, like the treasures of perfect companions, the treasure of a guru. The treasure is not the person shooting at you and trying to kill you. The treasure is your own mind. That's the treasure. Let's be very clear. We really have to be very clear on what to adopt and what to discard. We should be 100% clear on what is good and what is evil. And we have 10 non-virtues that should be abandoned. People who kill others should stop doing it, or they will encounter the disastrous results of their karma. There's no questions in my mind, so they should stop it. Killing doesn't make you a treasure. It's only when you encounter a practitioner who is able to make it and then to benefit the evil person, then maybe you're reborn and you recognize that somebody benefited you. Then you can become your own treasure. So I wouldn't, I don't like to play with this concept. I like to be very clear. So this is how I see it, and this is where I stand. At the same time, as I told you, I worked on my anger, and I don't feel hatred, but I still feel very strongly.
We have one final question. Anybody want to take that? Okay.
Thank you, Olga. I have a question about the 37 practices. I'm committed to these practices, but an obstacle that keeps arising is greed in the mind, and I was wondering if you had any practices from the text or any ideas on how to work skillfully with this. Thank you.
So you mean greed is the main negative emotion that in your way?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Good. Okay. So first of all, it's a negative emotion like any other. It arises from self-grasping, and confusion. And sometimes, there are great practices to counter it, like the mandala offering counters it. I don't remember. I think it's in Patrul's Rinpoche books. This practice when the person was very greedy and the person tried to practice generosity and couldn't give anyone anything. So he was trying to give with his right hand to his left hand, and it started from somewhere. So I think you just have to figure out what works for you, like what practices that counter greed, you have a propensity for. What's easy. Please don't start with very hard practices, because then you just become discouraged. Do something that works, do something where you get results, that then you can feel good about yourself and you'll have more energy to continue. If nothing works, there's always making aspirations. Aspirations are part of the paramita of wisdom. So you can practice the paramita of wisdom by making the aspiration, like saying, look, I tried very hard. I still experience greed. And I really wish that it stops sometime. And I know that I have a lot of colleagues among sentient beings who always also suffer from greed. So let me purify this greed for myself and others. And even if I can't do it now, I make a very strong aspiration that I will be able to do it in the future. And just, keep doing this aspiration and see what happens. Just experiment. Everything that I suggest here is an experiment. You can experiment. And whatever answers I gave you, it's partly my knowledge, but also, my own interpretation, sometimes my opinion. So please take it as such. I did my best. Like I really tried to share with you honestly. But, if you find that I gave a wrong answer, then just find the right answer for yourself, okay? So I just, my only goal for this Q&A is for you to feel better. And to see me as a football coach who say, guys, you can do it, you can do it. If I could do it, you can do it. And I really want you to believe in yourself and just feel better about yourself as practitioners. Notice your progress, because we all have tendency to notice all the things that we cannot do or that don't work. Like, for example, you know that your main problem is greed, but what is your strongest point? What you're good at? I am sure, you're a great practitioner in something. So just do this. Do this, what works for you, that what brings you benefit, and just make an aspiration that, I cannot work directly with my greed. This is hard, but maybe I'm a nice person and I'm always polite and I help other people and I'm charitable. So let this somehow work in a way that diminishes my greed. Because, there is no separate greed. It all comes from the same ground. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olga, for your words of wisdom and inspiration. Maybe a dedication?
Yes, we will just do a short dedication. So I cannot find it in the book, so I'll just do it in Tibetan, the bodhicitta prayer. Chanchup sem chogrin poche ma kye panam ke gyurchi kye panyam pa me paryan Gone gondu elvarishog. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, I wish everyone good night.